to the Wicked Webs We Weave podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Mckern. Join us weekly for tales of cursed media, haunted web series, ARGs, creepypastas, unfiction, and all things horror. Sit back, dim the lights, and welcome to the Wicked Webs We Weave. Welcome to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Check-in time is now. Your key awaits as we discover the history and haunts of one of Philadelphia's most haunted locations, the Bellevue Hotel. I'm Ryan Mckern, and I'll take your bags and join us as we go within the hotel walls of the Bellevue. The Bellevue Hotel of Philadelphia, located near the shopping and theater district, was originally called the Bellevue Stratford Hotel. It's the only hotel in the city recognized by the National Register of Historic Places. And every U.S. president, from Theodore Roosevelt to Ronald Reagan, spent a night or two at the Bellevue. On the corner of Broad and Walnut Street stands Philadelphia's most historically significant hotel, the Bellevue. Towering above pedestrians and adjacent buildings, the gorgeous French Renaissance style indicates a strong link to the past. Those interested in more the strange and unusual aspects of the past are in luck, however. The Bellevue has a reputation of being the most haunted hotel in all of Philly. Staying at the Bellevue puts you within walking distance from staples such as Art Institute of Philadelphia, the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, Rittenhouse Square, the Franklin Institute, the Academy of Natural Sciences, City Hall, Dilworth Park, and Logan Square. You don't have to go back hundreds of years or even decades to find guest testimonials about particular activity at the Bellevue. The past few years are dense with their own ghost stories. Guests have felt the temperature drop to alarming lows in the middle of the night, or something pulling on their covers and their toes as they try to sleep. Who said those boogeyman stories weren't real? Some rooms have experienced more activity than others. We could tell you, but we'd like you to find out for yourself. For those sensitive to energies, beware of the intense and paralyzing sensation when you walk into your room. Despite the Bellevue's good vibes, there are some unusual energies throughout the hotel that have decided to take a very extended stay. If you're scared of what spectral sights you might see on your vacation, don't worry. The ghosts here are reported to be friendly. After all, this is a city of brotherly love. Maybe someone in the family is more interested in the Bellevue's history than its hauntings. In the 1890s, George Bolt, Prussian immigrant, and his wife Louise, a native Philadelphian and socialite, who has to overlook the affairs of William Astor's hotel, the Waldorf. This is the same hotel that grew into the Waldorf Astoria. Bolt, who was inspired by the luxury, expansiveness, and beauty of the Astor's family work, that he wanted to give Philadelphia the same thing. Bolt purchased the Stratford Hotel across Walnut Street, erected a new building that consumed the pre-existing one, and called it the Bellevue Stratford. The new hotel might be French Renaissance in design, but its scale and presence are certainly products of modernity. The hotel took 2 years and $8 million to build, but when it was finished, it was a beauty, an architectural marvel, an aesthetic experience for the most refined taste. With light fixtures provided by Thomas Edison and stained glass skylights by Alfred Goodman, the Bellevue Stratford spared no expense, regardless of distinguishing between hotel, residence, or function hall. The Bellevue Stratford's ballroom is second to none. The intention of Bolt over 100 years ago is still the goal of the Bellevue today, to provide guests with something much more than just a bed at the end of the day. This isn't just a hotel, it's an experience. The Bellevue is a 4-star hotel with 172 rooms, a full bar lounge area, room service, and a breakfast buffet. Fitness center, spa, tub, and sauna are the amenities of this hotel, with a 24-hour business center, dry cleaning service. Bellevue Hotel by Hyatt is located at 200 South Broad Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19102. First window erected in 1902 to 1904, and the first stage compromising the principal bulk of the building, including the Broad Street front, while the second stage of 1910 to 1911 extended the rear guest room wings to the west and added new public rooms. The lower levels occupy nearly 100% of the site, while the upper levels, notched with light wells to benefit the guest rooms, forming an E-shaped plan, occupy approximately 80% of the property area. It was designed by G.W. and H.D. Hewitt, who gave it a richly plastic French Renaissance exterior, on which the principal zones of use are indicated by changing articulation. The rusticated base contains lobbies, restaurants, and ballrooms. The powerfully bayed wall above denotes the guest room floors, while the wonderfully picturesque efflorescence of mansards, dormers, and chimneys at the top marks another level of the ballrooms and public spaces. At every turn, exuberant ornament delights the eye. The interior is correspondingly splendid, though less stylistically determined, being essentially a fusion of French Renaissance detail and Baroque scale and embellishment. The colors of marbleized columns, gilt ornament and brass and opalesque scent glass chandeliers impart of the requisite note of Edwardian elegance to the lobby. Corridors and grand volumes making it in every sense a grand hotel, rivaling the Plaza and the Pierre in New York. Spacious elevator lobbies and larger than usual guest rooms give added comfort and pleasure. The building has undergone a number of alterations, but most have been done with considerable sympathy, so that the essential quality of the hotel remains evident. The Broad Street entrance, originally framed by paired columns, has been opened up with more glass, providing space for travel. The restaurants, especially the Stratford Garden and the Hunt Room, have been modernized, but with the underlying classy tone of the rooms maintained. Though in the spare vocabulary of contemporary design, the majority of the 700-plus guest rooms had also been brought up to contemporary standards. The Bellevue Stratford was sold in June 1978 to the Richard I. Rubin Company for $8.25 million. Rubin undertook a $25 million restoration. The guest rooms were completely gutted and a number of reduced from 725 to 565 rooms. While public areas were painstakingly restored to their 1904 appearance, 44,000 square yards of carpet were imported from Ireland. 25 tons of marble came from Portugal, and crystal chandeliers were sourced from Uruguay. Hotel reopened September 26, 1979, managed by Fairmont Hotels. As the Fairmont Hotel, the following year, Western International Hotel bought a 49% interest in the hotel and assumed management on November 15, 1980. They returned to the hotel of its original name, Bellevue Stratford, and announced plans to construct a huge parking garage adjacent to the hotel. The Rubin Company bought out Weston's stake in the hotel again and undertook work on the building, which cost $100 million. On floors 3 to 11 were converted from 280,000 square feet of office space entered through the original main entrance facing Broad Street, with the office portion opening on December 5th, 1988. In 2010, the hotel was moved from the Park Hyatt to the Hyatt Division. Its name was shortened to Hyatt at the Bellevue. The hotel moved to the Unbound Collection Division of Hyatt in March of 2018 and was renamed the Bellevue Hotel. Ghost stories often involve tragedy, but when that tragedy occurs during a period of what should have been a joy and celebration, the situation seemed to become even more ripe for a supernatural situation. Stories of celebrations going fruitfully wrong and the haunting percussions can be found again and again in Philadelphia's long history. Legionnaire's disease, real-life medical mystery and hotel horrors at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel. One such terrible tale has been a part of the Spirits of 76 tour. From the beginning, the bicentennial celebration of 1976 and the grisly tales of hotel horrors is a story of an inauspicious celebration if there ever was one. In 1976, Philadelphia was the centerpiece of America's 200th birthday celebrations. Those celebrations reached a crescendo on July 4th, 1976, when over 2 million people came to Philadelphia to celebrate where America had been born 200 years earlier, at Independence Hall. Bicentennial ceremonies included everyone from President Gerald Ford to Master of Ceremonies Charlton Heston. Even Queen Elizabeth II came to present the bicentennial bell, which was cast in the same foundry, Whitechapel Bell Foundry Limited in London, as the original Liberty Bell to the United States. Even as the major bicentennial festivities came to a close, many events celebrated the bicentennial continued in Philadelphia. Among them was a 3-day convention for the American Legion, which began on July 21st, 1976. Over 4,000 Legionnaires attended the convention, including at the headquarters hotel of the convention at the Bellevue Stratford Hotel. At that time, the Bellevue Stratford was recognized as one of the finest grand old hotels in America. Other than being known as Philadelphia's best hotel, the Bellevue Stratford only notoriety on the dark side was the fact that it served as the inspirational location where Bram Stoker wrote a majority portion of his famous blood-curdling tale, Dracula. While the Bellevue Stratford was previously well established as the headquarters of the 1936 and 1948 national conventions for the Republican Party, in the 1948 convention of the Democrat Party. Within short order, however, the Bellevue Stratford would be famous across the United States as the setting for the horrible events of the American Legion Convention. Just 2 days after the end of the convention, veterans began falling ill, and then unidentified pneumonia-like illness, a disease struck swiftly, first with a headache, then muscle and chest pains, and fevers that could get as high as 107 degrees. These heroes, who had already survived the perils of combat in foreign wars, stretching from World War II to Korea to Vietnam, died tragically in what was meant to be a celebration of their service in the United States. Coroners who had performed autopsies of the victims described their lungs as resembling Brillo pads. This was so serious that the Pennsylvania government feared an epidemic, and the United Centers of Disease Control was called in to investigate. The New York Times reported that Americans were primed for the threat of an epidemic. In that time, in 1976, the investigation into Legionnaire's disease would become the largest and most complicated medical investigation in history. The sinister sounding plot seems like it is right out of a script from Hollywood, but it was quite real indeed. Sadly so, forensic files, medical mysteries memorialized Legionnaire's disease in a great episode, documenting various historical accounts, photos, videos, interviews, and news. Coverage of this real-life hotel horror that dominated news cycles and made worldwide headlines for months. All told, as many as 221 people were treated for illness, and 30 people died. Perhaps more terrifying than the numbers was the fact that in 1976, the cause of the disease and how to stop it was still totally unknown. There was widespread fear and panic that adversely impacted tourism and visitorship to both the Bellevue Stratford and moreover to Philadelphia during and after America's 200th birthday. Just 4 months after the outbreak, Bellevue Stratford Hotel closed after nearly a century of service due to fears surrounding the disease that the Legionnaires contracted there. In 1976, many visitors and business canceled trips and meetings to Philadelphia in the wake of the still unfolding medical mystery in daily national media. It was not until January 1977 that the Legionnaire's bacteria was finally identified and isolated as the cause of the mysterious disease. The cooling towers of the hotel's air conditioning system proved to be the perfect breeding ground for the bacteria. And then the bacteria was spread through the same cooling system throughout the hotel, infecting hundreds of unsuspecting guests. This finding prompted global change and regulations and maintenance of heating and air conditioning systems. But those changes came too late for the poor souls who perished in Philly after the aftermath of Philadelphia's bicentennial celebration. The Bellevue Stratford Hotel was reopened on September 26, 1979, after a short stint being renamed the Fairmount Philadelphia. The hotel was renamed the Bellevue once again. Today, the Bellevue Philadelphia is still a hotel and is managed by Hyatt. Some believe the Bellevue is haunted from some of the poor souls who lost their lives in the hotel back in 1976. I would like to thank spiritsof76.com, as well as ghostcitytours.com. in aid for information on making this episode. Once again, I am Ryan Mckern. Thank you for joining me Sit back and dwell in the shadows, my friends. And until we meet again, au revoir.